Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the Philly Escape podcast. This is going to be a podcast that I do with me and three of my good friends. Uh, my name's Joe Britz. You're going to be meeting Jackson Belko, Anthony Caputi, and Austin Kefley. We're just four Philly sports fanatics that are going to be talking anything and everything Philadelphia sports with you guys. Um, we had a better intro planned, but unfortunately some of the files got corrupted, and I'm having to do a voiceover now. So hopefully next week we'll get that better. It'll be more personable. But yeah, we have this first episode here for you. It's going to be a lot about the Eagles draft, top to bottom, and the Sixers playoff look. Um, and that's it, really. I hope you guys enjoy.
You're saying this all
Let's get into the
unprofessional.
first topics.
All right, first topic, and as you can see here on the screen, to I was going to say to my left, your front, because you guys can all see this. The big talk is Devontae Smith. We broke a little bit down, what this pick was last week. We didn't get to release that pod because apparently Brits doesn't like the openers and closers we had ready to go on that one. But
We all agree
we'll,
on this somehow.
yeah, it might
Going
have
back,
been a
somehow
consensus,
coming back
but
to me.
we still just want to pick on Brits just for picking on Brits' sake.
Yeah.
But let's run through the list. We're going to get more into the late rounds compared to the early rounds, just because we know what we found in the first couple rounds, what Howie did. We gave him some good grades there. Maybe not so much on the selections where he picked, the players that he did, but in that same token, um, I think getting to the later rounds, we kind of like the stuff that he's done. I think, you get to the sixth, seventh rounds. These are really, hit or miss rounds, boys, where it's just you gotta get the boom or bust, and you like what you like. There's some things that you start to pick apart different things like the spider charts and see how you can do some NFL comparisons. To get a guy like Aaron Donald would be amazing, but sometimes the stats and the charts don't always come out to being that what could be a Hall of Fame player type guy. So let's do it. Let's do a quick 1, 2, 3 with the Smith, Dickerson, and Williams pick and what we think on those guys, and then we'll jump much to the later rounds. But let's start with draft theory. So, and especially how it applies to the Eagles, right? So, the biggest talking point with the draft all the time is best available versus first need. So I'm the type of guy who goes with best available. And because, you know, you may not need all the positions out there, but most of those positions are going to become needs later on. So even if you're getting a Landon Dickerson this year and you don't really need an offensive line guy, you're going to need that for sure, much later on in the future, especially when you're building up from the trenches and you're the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's be honest. So with that said, and I know Brits is going to come out against me on this one.
Only slightly.
How do you land on the best available versus the most immediate need for this Eagles team?
Well, there's a difference between the best of it. Like, there's a difference when you need those kind of things. Like, if we weren't in a glaring rebuild right now, I'd say yeah, go for best available. But there's just so many needs that need to be addressed before we can go for the best available guy, like quote unquote. And I like Devontae Smith is fine, obviously, because he's like literally one of the best players in the entire draft. And like if you get that guy, if you can get that guy, you got to get him. And we do need wide receivers anyway, so it's like best of both worlds. But to go for like I don't know. I mean, like they were saying with Dickerson, it's like, is he the best available guy or is he a need? It's kind of like you don't even really know because if you were to say he's the best available, yeah, at talent wise, probably, but he's got crazy injury history. He's injured at the moment. We're not really sure where he stands on like playing this year, so I don't know. It's like it's a tough call. I would definitely rather go for a best available player, but at this point with this like rebuild we're kind of entering, it's like almost got to go for the needs.
I think it's like, yeah, it kind of depends on your situation. I feel like, you try to leverage a little bit of both. Like if you know that you need a pass catching, running back, getting a wide receiver might not be the worst thing if he's the best available, by a long shot. But if you need a secondary, option and you go and pick a wide receiver, then you're kind of, don't really know what you're doing there. Eagles needed both of those things. So I think that Devontae Smith is obviously a great pick. Wish they maybe took a secondary guy a little earlier on.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of leaning towards. It's just I think it looks like Howie did go for best available player, and I wish he'd rather went for like a corner earlier than he did.
The thing that I hear is that if the Eagles didn't pick Dickerson, that there was going to be a team pretty close up behind them that was going to be taking him. So I feel
Probably.
like a lot of teams were going to be willing to take the risk on this guy. We'll see how it pans out. I feel like we're always going to talk about spider charts, but you're not going to know anything until these guys really start to hit the field in August and start showing you what they have.
I personally think that initially when you asked me about this draft, I was kind of iffy on some of the picks, but it kind of signals a change of the guard in a way. We've got so many aging, good players on the team who are going to be gone soon. And so I think it makes sense to sort of start picking best available regardless of position, because when we're going to be good again, we don't know what needs we're going to need at that point. So if we can just sort of pick the best player there and build around those guys and just hope for the best. Like Dickerson, he may have a bad injury history, but if he pans out, he's going to be one of the best guard centers in the league. And we're a team that builds through the trenches. I really think that pick was actually a really good pick after thinking on it.
Yeah, and I'm thinking on it after a week of talking about it. I know we didn't like it. I think the big consensus there was we like the player, we don't like where the player was picked. And so I think, looking at it again after hearing a lot of the talks coming out, just, draft speak and draft analysis, I think a lot of people thought he was going maybe 3 or even 4 picks later. So even if that's a slight jump, I think I like the jump just because I think it's going to be a need in the future. I mean, we talk about this a lot. I think we have a solid line when they're healthy. It's just a matter of if they're healthy, and eventually they're getting old. Like we're going to lose Lane eventually. He's always sort of in and out of the mix just because of ankle or leg type injuries. Obviously the Philadelphia Eagles training staff isn't the best. We can't have the most trust in them, with injured players. So I think getting a guy like Landon Dickerson,
just all
it's understatement to say the least. To say that, the most worrisome thing, again, just in conclusion on this guy, is just does he have 2 knees to stand on right now? Since his ACLs were gone at one point in time.
Additionally, with our line the way it is, we have 2, maybe 3 good tackles. Our center position's locked down. We got Brooks on the one side at the guard, and we kind of have an opening at that left guard position that Dickerson can kind of just slide right into it, maybe solidify just a really fucking solid line.
No, listen, I'm not mad at this pick. It's just a tough pick. It's hard to look at it with like a glass half full kind of thing because it's
hard to grade.
He's literally been injured so much in his career. We're already struggling at injuries on the O line. I think he's a great player if we can stay healthy, but that's just such a big if.
While I do like the pick, I think it's honestly a case where they had other options that checked off both best available and positional need more than this guy. That being said, I like the pick as well.
That's what comes in with Britz's argument is that he probably wanted defense right off the bat. That second rounder. Are you?
Yeah, and I think I would have liked
at?
that too. Like I think we were talking about, the Owusu or Owusu.
Wusu or linebacker from Notre Dame or which is a pick that I kind of liked at that spot. Morig, you got that safety there. I had to agree with the legendary Ray Diddy on this one. You see Christian Barmore there, and you're like, how do you not pick him up when he's rated probably the best defensive tackle in the draft? There's other options there that probably are less risk where you can still get the value. But again, I think this was definitely a Howie value pick where he's trying to get a lot out of, less volume or trying to get more volume, out of a pick while still getting some quality. So,
well, I think also you have to factor in that even though some players might be the best at their position, we may value certain positions to the team more. And I think this team definitely values offensive line significantly more than linebacker or cornerback. So that, to me, makes sense why I would pick.
And if you were to say what position mattered the most other than quarterback as far as impact players that changes the game, win or lose wise, we would probably go with offensive line. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all in agreement. I feel like that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree with that. I just don't.
We've
see the
seen bad lines of Eagles pass and how that has frustrated us.
Also, we had arguably 2 holes on our offense, one at guard and one at wide receiver. And with our first 2 picks, we shored them up.
Right. So, and my argument, right, against the immediate need is, I think Flay said it too. It could be one and the same. They could be the best available, and it could be immediate need. I don't think Landon Dickerson was that because I don't think he's an immediate need. But then again, looking at it, as far as what you need on the defense, it's corner, linebacker. I can see how you can make a case to get a linebacker there, especially with Owasu there. The thing with corner is I feel like it's just so hard to get it right. And that's clearly a big need for us. If I'm just looking back at the Eagles draft history for corners, and especially like the early versus late rounds, the last corner that we drafted was Avonte Maddox from 2018. I think we can all agree that's not like he's probably a good nickel cornerback at best.
Like
Probably
a C.
nothing
he's
much
like,
more
he's
greater
Just
than
playable.
that.
average.
He's playable.
Just an average NFL cornerback.
Then there's Sidney Jones and Rasul Douglas, which turn out to nothing for us. So even if they go on to be great players, that didn't work out at the second and third round. Obviously, Sidney Jones was an exception to the rule where he had the injury. And he was going to go a lot earlier. Maybe he would have been a different player if he wasn't injured. And then back in 2015, Eric Rowe, again, didn't work out for us. Went out to be a great guy over in New England.
What does that say about our defense and development? Like our coaching?
Maybe development, but then it always goes back to, it goes back to 2002, 13 years before that, where we got Lito and Sheldon Brown. So arguably the last time we got, solid game-changing type players in the corner position back in 2002.
There's also a whole different defense, like a whole different.
It's hard to make the argument
Yeah,
that you can get that
It's
right.
like fish in a barrel trying to get a good cornerback. Like half of the first round rated cornerbacks, I really think, just end up failing.
Yeah, I think it's so hard to get that Jalen Ramsey. I just don't think.
But it's
Maybe
like,
that's what they're thinking. That you maybe don't. Yeah, maybe. That's kind of where the argument comes in, right? Like, what do you do to kind of balance against that? I think if J.C. Horn and Patrick Surtain are off the board, maybe Howie and their team are saying at that point, there's just not another guy that's going to be worth spending a pick on.
Well, no, I mean, I'm okay with us getting McPherson. Like, it's not the worst pick in the world. It's just
From what I hear,
but to say that guy will turn into anything, I think
no.
is
But
hard.
here's the thing. I just think, like you said, like we've had these guys like come to our cornerbacks and defensive backs, just come to our team, suck
Go
it up,
somewhere else.
leave, and get way better. So our defensive, like our coaching staff needs to do way better at developing these guys.
Well, those people aren't on our team anymore. I don't think. I think we have new with Gannon. I think we have a new cornerback.
Yeah, no, we have a couple. I think we've made
Right.
a lot of moves in the coaching staff department. But yeah, I'm just saying that's what the issue was. Like these guys got to be better than they were.
That's where I think you can make a solid argument. It seems like anybody defensively that goes from the Eagles to the Patriots, Patrick Chung, now Jalen Mills, Eric Rowe. I'm pretty sure there's another guy out there in the void that's just become a star and then went somewhere else.
Aguilar went there too now.
Aguilar's there now.
He did pretty good last year on the Raiders.
It's kind of like let's be on the Patriots cam here and just see who actually turns into something after coming from nothing.
Big Mac Jones throwing the ball to him now.
Bill Belichick's fodder squad.
So with that said, it sounds like we're that's kind of our different theories. I'm the best available guy. I think Jackson's kind of in my court there. Flay, are you kind of on the need side?
I would say
Is
on
this
the
a
need.
split vote?
I would go on a need side. Yeah.
Split vote here.
Flay,
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question because you're somebody who trusted the process, and in the process, we picked 3 centers in a row because we were picking best available, and that ended up working out. So
And that's not need. So
I think basketball is apples to oranges.
I think that's fair considering it's
Basketball is
one
a
player
sport-
can completely change
basketball
your
is a
culture.
sport where one player can completely change the dynamic of your team.
I agree. So let's run through this, guys.
Comparing
So
5
it's
guys playing at a time to 22.
Yeah, big difference. All right. So split decision on that one as far as available versus need. That's to be continued. But let's do a quick run through on these draft picks. I think we can all agree Devontae Smith. He was an A+. No doubt in my mind for what you ended up getting in the end from the end result of getting that extra first round pick. in addition to getting the guy and only really giving up a third round. So again, the guy with 7 drops in his college career, 2 parties in between there, and he's the guy coming out and saying he's going to run any route and do anything for his team. So
And the dude's
overall summary on
already
this guy,
they're
Yeah,
already
plus.
getting
everybody
together.
gives him
Him
an
and
A+.
Jalen Smith
A+
or him
on
and
that.
Jalen Hurts are already getting together real well. They're broing down.
They played together.
Jalen
Not too
broing
much,
down
but they played with him. They played together.
Yeah, but they're already broing down in Philly.
Yep.
Yeah, Sixers game
In a big way.
going to
Jalen.
Yep.
apparently. Yeah, I hear Jalen
So-
Hurts is really stepping up as a leader, just organizing.
That's
you
what
know,
he's been
off,
known. That's
And,
what he was
and
known for.
what Flay's trying to translate to the audience here is that Carson wasn't that kind of guy, and I think he's trying to trigger Brits
Oh,
in a
God.
subtle way. But you guys might not pick that up from the audience just because you just don't know how much love Brits has for Carson.
Carson's done the same thing in
Yeah,
Unexplainable
in
love.
Indy.
Carson
say.
Wentz.
follow him on Instagram at Joe Brits. I think he probably still posts Carson Wentz, like memories and his stories.
I thought his
So if
Instagram
you're
name
also a
was
Carson
Wentz
fan,
himself.
No, I don't. Shut up.
Moving on. Anyway, moving on. All right. So with that said, that was Devontae Smith. Like you said, we walk away happy with that one. At this point, it's really just evaluating the last tier of those latter rounds. So, Mr. Cartwheel himself, we were just talking about this for a little bit. Do we like the pick? Let's just get quick grades on it. I'm gonna go with a C. Like I said, I think I'm more up on it this week compared to last. Just knowing that offensive line is going to be a need, especially with Kelsey probably retiring next year. What does this mean as far as solidifying the O line and getting a guy who's top grade? Are we trying to build up that line so that we have a solid running game and can give Jalen, more importantly, give Jalen all the time he needs just to sit back and really progress into his second year.
I'm giving this a C, but this has a potential to be an A pick if this guy pans out.
This could go from this kid can go from C to A to F. It's like
It's got a wide range.
He's a couple 10 tears away from totally different grades.
Yeah, it's tough to say. I'm gonna leave it at the middle as well. C, I think it's just great player, huge risk.
Yeah.
Especially at the pick we got him at.
Yeah.
High risk, high reward.
I'm giving it an A. I think that
Shooting
with
high.
Brooks, Lane
Like it.
Johnson, and Kelsey all playing it at Pro Bowl level, Mailata improving from not knowing footballs had laces 2 years ago till now, kind of getting like its mid-70s PFF grade. He's like really improving a lot. I think having Dickerson at that guard spot is going to give us probably a top 5 line this year, barring any injuries. And I think that's worth the second round pick.
So with the combination of having a stellar offensive line to go with him. Yeah, I mean I can see that. I think I agree with the other guys in that I think this is like, all right, your test gets graded, it comes back as a 60 or 70, and then you go after school for test corrections, and you're either like, the teacher's either like, yeah, shit, I fucked up, you got a lot of this right, or no, you're still an idiot. It didn't pan out for you. So
What a wild comparison.
What a nerd type comparison. It's because I stayed at school and did my work, Brits.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you just got to see the work, what it pans out to be. Does the guy get hurt in the first place? Does he actually stick around? Yeah, I think this is a C to an A or a C to an F, right in the middle as an average. But then again, with the third round pick, we did a little moving around and some action. Starting at the 70th pick in the third round, going back to 73, getting 191 overall from the Panthers, which would later become another D tackle, so adding to that defense, which could be a good pick in that pick. I like that pick a lot. But with that said, we do some, Howie does some spin moves. He jukes out some players, jukes out some other teams, and moves back just to get this guy. So, what are our thoughts on Milton Williams?
I mean, he loves the draft defensive tackles.
This is the guy that Jackson loves to pull the spider chart out for, and while I think his physical attributes are super impressive. It's obviously only a part of the story.
Yeah, at one round is a good round where you can pull out the spider charts and say like, we have like a 10% chance this guy turns into Aaron Donald, or like,
Well,
is like, all right,
I think
for one
round 3
second
is
though,
fine. I think round 3 is
you
fine
think
for
round
that.
3 is fine for that? Is that too early where it's like, he could be a Hall of Fame type guy versus just a guy that we just need a, immediate impact? Like that's, I mean, he's got the QB pressures right behind Christian Barmore when it comes to that at 30 pressures compared to 39 of Barmore's. Mel Kiper had him as number 1 in his draft list. So really, it's like, what does this guy become?
I want to point out like a semi-different comparison in that like everybody was kind of shitting on DK Metcalf, saying that he was all physical and that he might not know how to play the game, and that's why his stock was dropping. So I think it might be smart to pick somebody like this for once and actually try and develop them, because I think our defensive line coach is really good and that he could probably develop somebody like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only. I actually think he's like I can't believe he didn't go earlier, honestly. But I just don't know why we're drafting so many defensive linemen every
Building
draft. There's a million of them on our team.
Yeah,
We got a
coming out of
million
this
of them.
draft, we got three guys from those rounds. So
We got a
I mean,
million
yeah,
defensive linemen.
we're gonna be cutting that down.
I mean, we got Barnett, we got Sweat, we
Come
got
August,
Hargrave, Fletcher, Brandon Graham. I mean, some of these guys are older, but like
they're way older. We need to start
I know, yeah.
adding some youth to that line.
It's fair. It's fair.
I mean, and Brits, think back to that Super Bowl year. What kind of made it successful? I mean, the rotation was so nice. I know it didn't really matter in the Super Bowl. We didn't do much until Brandon Graham came in and kind of saved the day. But other than that, that rotation of guys who were kind of like unsung heroes of just Bo Allen and
Yeah.
those Vinny Currys of the world. They came in and they helped out the rotation. Chris Long, I mean, played games where he just I feel like every play that he was in started a turnover. So I feel like I don't know. If we're stocking on players, I guess stock in the trenches. But
it's like it's fine to do that. I just like, and we obviously these guys are older now, but like there still were like playing. I mean, I'd say the best part of our team last year was the defensive line.
Yeah.
Still, I think he's picking for the future. Maybe you would argue he's picking them too soon, but I think it's not a bad thing.
It's like no, I mean it's not. It's just hopefully he's good. Hopefully he's good. I just hope he's good.
Get them now while they can still learn under Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham.
Yeah, especially learning under their vets who are they have the repertoire. They said they've been at the highest level, played at the highest level. Yeah, I think this is
Fletcher should be here for a while longer still. I mean, he's what 30.
He should. We gotta look into his contract. But then again, I think this is one of those arguments where it's like the defensive tackles give the corners time to make plays, or that with the rush, getting to the quarterback, they take away the time that a Tom Brady could just sling it out of his hands in 2.5 seconds. So maybe it's one of those arguments where it's like, all right, we don't need the top corner. We just need a guy to be able to, cover their top receivers long enough for our guys to get to him. Maybe it's one of those scenarios.
Could be a genius move by Howie.
Let's hope our corners can hang.
We don't right now. We need if McPherson can't play, we literally don't have a guy that can line up at the other side.
Yeah, Darius Slay can cover two guys at once.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough situation. I mean we got Maddox, but like.
So on the Williams pick though, I'm high on the grade. Yeah, I mean when I say 10% chance of becoming Aaron Donald, I just say that because it's so hard to be that guy. But even if it's a 10, 20, 30% chance, I'll take those odds any day if you get a guy like that, paying him a really low salary to be that kind of guy. So I give it a B- on this, just because I don't know on the placement of the pick where it should have went, if it was a reach or just right at where it should have been. But I like the odds on it.
All right.
I think that he needed a third defensive tackle with Malik Jackson leaving. We kind of just have Cox and Hargrave. And that with our defensive rotation, we needed a third defensive tackle, and it's good. Yeah, it's good to get somebody that we can kind of cheaply just plug in and develop. So I would also give it like a B-, B.
I'll give it a. Hmm.
I'll give it a
I'll
hum.
give it a C
All right.
plus. C plus. Almost a B. It's the only reason why I'm giving it even that high is just because he's a good player. It's just like I don't know how he's just makes me annoyed with these defensive line picks that we just keep doing over and over and just ignore the defensive backfield.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if we were looking ahead and had a lot of hope for the later rounds. I don't know what we were exactly looking for, but with how it turned out so far, I don't mind the results from it.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, just the draft overall, I would say I'd give us probably a B minus. I think a lot of these later round guys are project guys that have a lot of potential. You know, they had all have pretty good stats across college. You know, just guys who looked like they were involved in the plays a lot. High tackle guys. Um, so you hope that you could hit on maybe one of them. That's great. If you hit on any more of them, that's just icing on the cake.
Yeah, no, I mean I for the most part the last like picks 4 through 7, or well 4 through 7th round because we had 3 picks in the 6th, but those
Yeah.
were like I like where we drafted. I like the positions we drafted. Um, might have been like a little late on the cornerback pick at number 4 at the 4th round, but hopefully it works out. I think the value in the players that we got, from what I've heard, is pretty good. So
Well,
that's
both linebackers that we picked with our last 2 picks were supposed to go in the 4th to 5th round, and we got him in the 7th.
yeah, I know. There's a couple of
Yeah.
good value guys there.
Yeah, I'm really excited
Yeah.
to see how Gainwell does, the running back from
Yeah, I'm
Memphis.
interested in him.
Yeah.
He seems like he could really push to be in the mix there. Eagles got quite a lot of running back depth right now.
Well, Gainwell was
A
also
lot to
supposed to
break
go.
down there.
What's that, Jackson?
Gainwell was supposed to go in the 3rd round.
Yeah, and he dropped back a little bit.
Quite a bit actually.
Yeah, he was a 4 year guy at Memphis. High production, really good hands. Just could run through you or could get the ball over you.
So I think that's a big question on Gainwell, and I think probably appropriately named last name. The big question I think for me is this a Sproles, Scott, or Pumphrey? And I really don't think it's a Pumphrey at all. I don't think it's a small guy who just put a lot of production out there and then becomes nothing. I think this guy is going to be a weapon.
No, this guy's got some legit
big-
hands.
Yeah, if there's adjectives out there for him, it's weapon and dangerous. If the ball's in his hands, honestly.
Kind of
I
reminds me of
think
Miles
he's
a
going
little
to
bit.
jump over Boston Scott on the roster.
Oh,
I
yeah,
agree
think
with you,
so,
Jackson.
too.
Jump over.
I think he's basically like a more polished Boston Scott, basically.
I would agree, Jackson. So looking at just breaking this guy down a little bit, right? So 5'11", 194 pounds, pretty burly, more, not like a Pumphrey who just doesn't have any skin to the bones. You know, in his production, 14 games, 1,500-yard season. So he averaged 6 yards per carry with 13 touchdowns. And then you look at his receiving side of what he did on that end, and that's 610 yards. 3 touchdowns for a 12-yard per catch average. So this guy does work. He's a weapon. Looking at his highlights, if he gets the ball in open space, he's juking people out. He's breaking some ankles. If I were to kind of set this up as far as a visual of what he is or what he can become, I'm thinking, the floor being Boston Scott. So at a minimum, I think he's that. So I would agree with you, Jackson, that he could surpass him pretty easily. I think his ceiling could be an Austin Eckler, and I don't know if that's. I would say that's not selling him short because Austin Eckler's turned into a huge weapon out there for San Diego. But I think that's kind of what he could be.
If he's anything like Austin Eckler, then we're in a really good spot.
Yeah,
I think we
great
hit the
draft
bank
pick.
on that.
And
Well, we're
number
gonna
five.
have a really good line, and a lot of these running backs that we're mentioning were drafted a lot later than Gainwell was. He has like high pedigree, and I think he could really have success. Running backs are drafted late, and you can get a really good one in the 5th round.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if
Yeah.
we can with Miles and Gainwell, I think we're gonna have like a pretty threatening backfield. I mean, if Miles like plays 2 downs, this guy comes in, there's basically no downside. We still have a weapon. Like it's not like we're putting Boston Scott out there and he's very limited because of his size and
Right.
stuff. And like I think we got this guy, and it's gonna be. Hopefully we can abuse the running game, and maybe
I think we have to.
and hopefully we can also get the screen game better than it was last year, because looks like every play got blown up that we tried to screen.
That was something that really went really well for us in the 2017 run. So
Yeah, I don't know. It looked like we didn't know how to run a screenplay or something.
Utilizing multiple. I mean,
Yeah.
in 2017 we had
Yeah.
Jay Ajayi, Garrett Blunt, Corey Clement, and who else? At least one other guy back there.
And that was kind of like
yeah.
that was kind of three-headed monster.
Pumphrey got a little bit of a.
Still had Smallwood back in those days, but he didn't
Smallwood.
really get some time, I don't believe.
Throwback.
So I mean,
Forgot about
guys,
Wendell.
it's almost like a six-headed monster, probably more so five, because you got Sanders, you got Scott, definitely I think going to make the team. Gainwell, they invest a lot in him there. He's going to have to make the team. But you also have these three other guys, now considered solid vets in Kerryon Johnson that you just pick up from the waivers off of the Lions. I almost forgot that we had Jordan Howard just signed.
I don't think
he's going
to make the team.
And Clement.
No.
So I don't think those last two in the end there are going to make it. But I think that says a lot about the running backs you do have when a Jordan Howard and a Clement, who are probably like a fourth, fifth spot on a roster, depth chart wise, don't make the team.
Well, the thing is, do we run 4 running backs on the team? Is that what most teams are doing now?
I don't think it's a most team thing.
You're gonna want to have a guy at least in reserve. I feel like, for injury's sake.
Yeah, I think.
I say,
most teams are doing
and one of those maybe are practice squad guys. So
yeah.
Well, yeah, that's
between Scott and Gainwell. So
I think it'll probably be Miles, Gainwell, Kerryon Johnson, and probably Boston Scott because he's a good special teams guy.
I would agree with that list if the 4 of the 6 were if any of them.
Yeah, you don't have Devontae Smith back there taking back your punt spurts.
Did he do that in college?
Yeah, he did a couple. Did a little bit of it.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Pretty
if you
well
want
too.
But
it's
tough. It's tough to have
joking.
your number one.
Obviously, don't want him doing that.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
He'll do anything. I don't want him doing anything. That's not my point on that.
There's some things I don't
He's
want
too
you doing.
small to do that.
I mean, Boston Scott does it.
Boston Scott's bulky though.
He's tough and built.
A whole different.
He's got some NFL hits in his experience, so
that's true.
I'll allow him to have that. But yeah, no, I mean, how could you not like the running back depth right now with all those 6 guys and what some of these guys could become? I mean, especially if Johnson comes back healthy, kind of lost that spot to D Swift over in Detroit. So I don't know what he becomes, but.
Can I just bring some reality to the situation though? Because I think we're overhyping these running backs a little bit. Because Miles Sanders is a stud. Kerryon Johnson and Jordan Howard are kind of like on their death throes. I think they're kind of washed, to be honest, especially after their injuries. Boston Scott's okay, but realistically, he's not great. I think he was probably a product of our line. I think it might be Sanders and hopefully Gainwell that are going to be leading us.
Well, no, yeah, I didn't say we had a diabolical.
I think Gainwell takes the backup spot as well.
I think Kerryon Johnson. I mean, he's not. I don't think he's on his deathbed, but because he's still really young.
Yeah, I wouldn't put him that far.
But it depends how
he's only 20. He's only 23.
Yeah, if he comes back from this injury that he had, I think, like 2 years ago, and he played last year, and I think he was just not the same. And then now it's like, what does he do in 2021? Like 2 years after the injury? I don't know. I think it's just a big question. I mean, he was supposed to be really good, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think that's where you leave him.
I think he'll probably be our
leave
third
him
guy.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with that, right? Like, who do you want running in at those goal line stands? I think it's going to be Johnson over Jordan. So,
yeah.
Howard, I agree. Howard, deathbed. Clement, deathbed. I don't think Howard knew that a team was going to sign him this year, so I think he was happy just to continue to play football at this point. Just being completely realistic.
He went from us to the Dolphins back to us last year, didn't he?
Back to us, yeah. So I think he's just. Which just goes to show you how sad it is for a running back career to be a Johnson, where you show a lot of potential, and it just ends within a matter of a couple of years. It's a very short-lived career.
If you can't catch balls nowadays in the NFL, and you're not like Derrick Henry, you have a very short career ahead of you. I feel like.
And those Derrick Henrys are so rare.
You have to be a dual threat nowadays to be to get signed, to get that big contract.
Yeah,
These running backs, they're top.
you don't make
fantasy
them like
picks
they
one
used to
year.
be.
What'd you say, Jackson?
These running backs, they're top fantasy picks one year, and then the next year they're basically out of the league.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it
Wild.
is funny.
The cycle time on them is just it's a year. It's literally a year on average.
Yeah.
That's why they
Months.
gotta. That's why they. Yeah, I can't ever blame them if they go out and make their money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get it when you can when you're a running back. Receiver, totally different game. You can stay in the league for solid 10 years without an issue, and you don't have to be like a top player either. So, so with that said, okay, Gainwell, good prospect, love it. As far as what he could give us, there's another guy who's the same exact size, 5'11", 1 pound heavier than Gainwell. So I guess he's gaining less, or gaining more. Sorry. And that's the Texas Tech guy in McPherson. So Zach, I don't know what the heck to call him, but Zach, okay. Is he enough? Is he enough at the 4th round to give us anything at the corner spot? I think is really my question.
I heard Jason Avant was speaking about him and saying that he was really good. So I think that could be promising, and that maybe that he could start for us. But realistically, wouldn't anybody start for us? We have one good corner on the team.
Yeah. I mean, he's gonna have to start unless Maddox does.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't want Maddox on the
You
outside.
don't want Maddox out there outside at all.
there were rumors and reports that Vince Papali was warming up to potentially go to tryouts. I heard he had some high school varsity experience, but I would have to double check on that.
He'd make it.
But guys, I would say I do have an NFL comparison, and that's Garrick McPherson, his father, drafted by the Patriots years ago. What a comp, right? But it's not just his dad. I think that he's had other brothers playing in the NFL. Big football family, so
Good sign.
he knows the terminology. He knows what goes into it. It's just a matter of, does he have talent to stay, in the game and actually give. I mean, Jackson's got probably the best point is that we just, anybody can come in right now and just do anything for us and probably be better than what we have right now. So
Yeah.
It's better than the undrafted free agent we were going to have to play.
Yeah.
That's
Which
definitely true.
What's that guy's name? I'm not sure.
Which one of the 7 that we signed the entire draft's worth?
We got so many random guys and never heard of them in my entire life.
Yep. I mean, no names. Like I said,
Jack Stoll,
Blake Countess, Ja'Cory Shepard, Randall Evans. Those are all like 6th round picks. It's so hard,
We got a
over
quarterback
the past
and a running back
years.
too, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did as undrafted guys. Yep.
So weird. I mean, a quarterback I understand because you need a 3rd string guy, but
yeah,
I don't know.
So it's hard. But let's go back to some of the later rounds. We're going in the 6th round here with Marlon. Somebody pronounce his name for me, please. Tuipuloto.
I don't know why I put an accent on that.
Yeah, little tilde on there, or not tilde, but you know what I mean. Big notes here. I'm gonna go Madden style and say hit stick and speed. I think that's what you get out of this guy. When he makes a tackle, he's coming down hard, and if he's at least doing that in Philly, that's all I can be happy with.
I'm not even gonna pretend to know anything on these guys because they're literally 6th and 7th round picks. So I heard we got good value. I hope that's true, and that's all I'm gonna say about it.
And we'll probably leave it at that.
Yeah.
Same here. We could probably just sum up the 5th, 6th, and 7th round with an overall grade of to be determined.
Average. That doesn't make that
Gainwell
much of a
sounds like
difference.
we got a great pick there. Other than that, I heard we got good value. Have no idea if that's true.
I'm glad to take picker.
More to come.
I'm glad to pick players that are falling in the draft. They were really higher. We got them lower than they were supposed to go, and I think we can only hope that they pan out.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at my notes, and this probably is the same that applies to NFL teams as they're drafting, it's Devontae Smith, Dickerson, and Williams, and it just keeps going down. And I got nothing on the last guys, and it looks like a
that's how
reversed. Yeah, it's reverse period.
That's the actual NFL draft
pyramid
anyway.
on.
It's kind of like the availability of their film too. When I was
right
trying to look these guys up.
All right, boys, we're going to get into some free agency next and just look at okay, we know who's on the team draft-wise and all the young guys, and that's great. Let's bring some flair to the team with some youth that we got coming in. But before we do that and kind of look at who's left in the league to actually pick up at the veteran level, let's go to a quick commercial break. This podcast, first edition, is brought to you by Velco's, a highly nutritious treat to fuel your hunger for sports hot takes in a nice cold bowl of oat milk. No, Velco's are not a real food, meal, or even small snack in a cup, and are currently patent pending.
Wait, why am I missing?
This is brought to you by Velco's.
It should say convicted instead of missing.
Oh God.
Well, maybe that's why he's missing. He's being hunted.
Flight hunted me down and
for
killed me.
Ben Simmons heresy.
Probably off looking.
But like I said, he's probably hanging out at the lodge for all we speak. So if Brits is out there, anybody, can you please call the hotline because we have no idea. No, we can't hear him. We choose to ignore him because. But like I said, yeah,
ignoring reason is like a thing that people do nowadays. So I don't blame you.
So, all right. So fresh, hot off the presses. If you want a hot take, go to Jackson. He'll probably tell you a guy that he likes just because he wore a hat that day or something. Convenient.
I said this last time. Jackson judges players on like, say he saw that guy walking out of like a Wawa and he like had like a certain sandwich. He's like, that's my new favorite player.
And that's basically the guy.
That's how Jackson reads Philly players.
He's just like, he's a Philly guy. You didn't see Carson. You know what? Carson Wentz. He went to Sheets. He didn't even touch a Wawa.
I will agree with that. He was not a Philly guy.
Well then, yeah.
I mean, it's like what, 8:20 at night, and I'm drinking Wawa coffee. That's true leader right there.
You need a Wawa coffee.
I was about to grab a Philly Bud Light in a second here.
Oh, does it still got the Eagles logo on it? They still doing that?
Nah, I think didn't they go back to Miller or something? I don't know.
Damn shame.
Anyway,
that's a damn shame.
Well, should we get into this free agency?
All right, welcome back. Since that was, I guess, an official commercial break, we're talking some free agency. We are on the Philly Escape podcast. It's a Sports Jawn. We got sports journalists. Let's talk some Eagles free agency and what we can go out and get, knowing what we got now in the early rounds and late rounds of the NFL draft. So, boys, I actually want to start with not what we can gain or what we have lost, but what the Cowboys lost and what that means for us. So way back, we already know that they lost Byron Jones, big cornerback for them. He got his money elsewhere. But I looked into this more. I didn't realize who they lost. They also lost to free agency Xavier Woods, Awuzie, and Aldon Smith. Their edge rusher.
Pretty big names.
Mm-hmm.
So not names you can't just look at and dismiss. They got a huge losses here on their defense. I didn't think they were this badly hurt by the lack of what they have. Seems like all they got is linebackers, boys. So they just picked up Keanu Neal from the Falcons. He's 25. He's a little bit younger than I had thought. But with that said, the Cowboys really got to pick something up quick, or else they can't, stop any teams from scoring all over them all day. No matter how much you pay Dak.
Well, they don't
to put up numbers.
They have 4 startable linebackers, which is
well,
crazy.
I want to add, additionally, Sean Lee retired.
Yeah,
he did just retire.
I saw that.
So that puts him to 3. But even with that said, how many times are you putting 3 linebackers that are all that big in a starting lineup?
Probably not at all. I mean, you're probably gonna have to have 2 and rotate a third in, or maybe play 3. I don't know. Maybe play high in the box.
So now you have Jalen Smith, Micah Parsons, you just pick up, and Vander Esch. But again, big run stoppers. Got the run on lockdown apparently. But at the same time, can you cover anybody when you got 3 of those guys in there?
They have the same problem as we
taking
do
the spot of the corner. And yeah, no spot at the corner. Keanu Neal's probably the only defined guy in this defense other than the linebackers.
Keanu Neal's a stud.
He is a stud, and that's a great pickup for them. But like I said, I think he's the only other guy other than the linebackers that can do anything for them.
That's fair.
So who's left, right? There's an NFL top list of 100 guys who went into free agency this year who are locked up, re-signed, signed to a different team, franchise tagged, you name it. But there's about 11 left that I like the names of, but again, they're over the age of 30. If not, they're 29. These aren't young guys, and maybe that's the reason why a lot of them aren't picked up. There's 3 interesting names here that I would sign. I want to get your takes on it. Kind of go around the room on this one. Here's an interesting one, and I want to get your thoughts. If he's not re-signed by this team, Ryan Kerrigan, edge, defensive line, huge production. Probably going to go in the football teams. Their own Hall of Fame. But do we sign him? Take him away from the football team? And just he just comes in here as like a Chris Long type of guy, makes plays on, getting turnovers, things like that. Really a 1-year deal type of thing, but nothing special. Just sign him in his old age, and he seems like a guy that you sign for a Super Bowl contending team. That's not us, obviously. So do you do it? Yes or no? Do you like it?
I don't
I think he would probably be too expensive, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I feel
At
like
30, at 32, I don't know. I don't know if you can make that argument. I don't know if he has the leverage with his age.
I just think we're crushed up against the cap already, especially because we had to take a pretty big hit with the Carson trade.
And once again, especially for a position that we have such depth at, just guys, we put in so much draft.
I'm getting head shakes immediately off the name drop.
It's a good player. It's just not a.
I don't think he's a good fit.
Yeah.
So what fit does he fall into? Is he, like I said, kind of like a Super Bowl contending team that just has money to spend right now?
Just a team that
Bucks.
doesn't
He
only
probably
have
seems like a
talent
Bucks
on the
kind of
defense.
guy.
Bucks, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. The thing I was looking at.
yeah.
I was gonna say. Did you have another one you wanted to say? Because I had a guy that.
I was just gonna say upside. We're taking him away from Washington. I know he always gives us problems, so just take those problems away. But other than that,
Can't beat him by him.
Can't
yeah,
beat him by him. I like that.
buy him out. He could be re-signed cheap for the. I don't know. Who knows where he goes?
Well, what's the deal with Richard Sherman?
So Richard Sherman, not signed.
I was
He's another
kind
guy
of
on my
liking
list.
that name too. I
33
think he
years
wouldn't
old.
be a terrible signing in the sense that we got these younger guys. It wouldn't be too bad to have a vet there, at least as a second to Slay. He can cover, he can cover well enough. If he does get hurt, you got enough guys on the back. I don't know how much of a contract he's going to cost. I don't know what his latest contract was.
What do you pay him?
That is, yeah.
But I would not be upset if that was some news that broke later on.
I would like a guy who maybe was a corner in his younger days and can become a good safety. I don't think that's Richard Sherman. I think he's a tried and true, cornerback on his island, covering some of the top guys, but I don't think he can do that anymore.
Hasn't he moved towards the safety position lately?
I just don't think he has. So I don't know. I don't know if he could become that. But I like a guy like that who can become a vet, and he's teaching the younger guys coming in, especially from the draft class.
I mean, we need a quarterback. We don't need a safety.
I know. But I'm saying, I don't know. I'm iffy on him. It would be a short deal, if anything.
Yeah, he'd probably be like a 2-year deal.
1 to 2 year.
It'd be a 1 year for sure. I'd say.
Probably. He got paid $27 million for 3 years last. What's that?
I wouldn't mind getting Richard Sherman. I really like Richard Sherman.
Yeah, I think I would like him too for the right price. He got paid $27 million for 3 years with the Niners.
We can only give him 5 probably.
We probably give him 6 or something like that. Yeah, for 1 year deal.
And he was 29 when he signed with San Fran, and even at that time, I know there were some conversations about the Eagles going out and getting him. But that very next year, we won the Super Bowl, so it was it's kind of like, all right, maybe it was fine we didn't.
So
the
only problem is he's older. It's do you bring in a guy like that at this point? What's the
at that
point?
age?
We're on a rebuild, or kind of rebuild. Some people like to say we're not. But
there is Bashaud Breeland, who's with the Chiefs. Not signed as of late as this point. He's 29, So, like I said, kind of the same age Richard Sherman was, and Sherman proved that he still had it for a solid 4 years beyond that point. Is he a guy that we'd try to go out and get if the Chiefs don't re-sign him?
Breland? Wait.
Rashad Breeland,
What position is he? I can't remember.
corner. He's at the corner spot.
He's corner as well. I don't know much about him, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's probably definitely fills the other side. Like he becomes that guy for sure if he comes here. But I don't know.
Was he
Extent.
playing game for game with them? Was it like a
Not
bona
cool.
fide starter? Because like if we can get any bona fide starter, I feel like that's the move. Like that's what we need. As long as they're not too old. He said he's 29. That's not too bad.
Too old or too expensive?
Yeah, it just depends like what kind of contract he's looking for. I mean, I don't know much about him, but like I think what we're looking for is like some guy who can go out there and play every game.
Caputi, who do
Yeah.
you think we get as our cornerback, or do you think there is somebody that we could get?
I don't know. I mean, those are probably the two biggest names. There's also Brian Poole. He's 28. He would be coming over from the Jets. I don't know a lot about these guys. That's the only thing. I think they immediately fill the spot because who else fills it? Nobody.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like one of those things. Like, maybe you would just rather have a guy that you can kind of get cheap, who maybe didn't play amazing. You're not giving him Jalen Ramsey money, but at the same time, Breland comes over, he fills the spot, and he covers that secondary guy who's not, so he's covering that Tyler Lockett when Slay's on Metcalf.
I think ideally
know.
what we do is something like what we did when we got Patrick Robinson, where we got a cornerback who used to be good but had like maybe a couple down years, and then he comes here on like a 1-year prove it deal sort of situation.
It's not. Yeah, I would be okay with that. A guy who's like been in the league for a while. He's been good. I mean, I don't want a guy that's like on a super down slope though. So I think that's like a little bit dangerous. Because like you
Yeah.
said, like they could be like actually down spiraling to like towards the end of their career. But
Sometimes they just need a change of environment, though. If we get a
no,
couple
I
of
agree
them,
for sure.
It happens all the time. Yeah, I
Happens
mean,
with us all the time.
look at Malcolm coming in here. Malcolm Jenkins coming in here. Didn't have the best start in New Orleans. Came here, found his career,
Yeah.
went back there, still producing at an older age. So I think just a different environment, no matter who you are, I think it can change the way you play.
Exactly.
Because you're playing in different schemes as well, and maybe if you're switching from a man to a zone or something like that, it changes the dynamic where you can play a little bit differently.
100%.
Maybe you're not as much of an aggressive guy. You can't play the man, so getting into that zone, plays to your strengths a little bit more, I think. So it's possible. I don't know. I mean, the sexiest name on this list by far is Malik Hooker. Again, it's a question of money. He's the youngest. He's 25. You would love to have him, but you bring over Anthony Harris, who's a little bit older, but again, I think he still has a lot of production left in him.
Who do you think is the most realistic name on that list?
It's got to be Antonio Brown from the Bucks. No. If there's any realistic names, I mean, there's a couple offensive tackles here. They're in their older age. I just don't think we go there, considering I think we have what we need at this point for what we want. I don't know. I don't know if we end up signing any of these guys,
I was
really.
just gonna
I just
say
don't
that,
know if
actually.
there's a fit. I just don't see
We
really
don't have a lot
anything
of
out there that we
money.
go and get.
So
I
you
just
guys
think
think
we
we're
need
all
one
short
more.
up for the season then?
What'd you say?
You think we're all short up for the season then?
I mean, things change in the NFL all the time, right? So I think it's just somebody. I mean, and we got a lot of firepower. So I don't think we really find what we need in value from free agency. I think it's more on what's on current teams right now amongst the different teams and
Interesting.
who we might trade for. I think that's more of a possibility than
Sounds like you
in
think
comparison
Hallie.
to free agency.
Sounds like you think Hallie still
What
has
about,
some,
like, Shaquille
some tricks
Griffin?
up his sleeves.
Shaquille, I think he's locked up, but I mean, as far as a trade,
I mean, are we like?
I
I
mean,
mean,
I love the
Zach
name.
Ertz or somebody.
I would not be surprised if we picked up like just some random like tight end or something like by the end of the end of this free agency.
I mean, we just signed
So-
it
Could you
or
see us-
undrafted.
We did
free
sign an
agent,
undrafted guy, Jack Stoll.
Yeah,
A lot of people. I mean, it's undrafted. Not a lot of people are high on him. It's I just don't think we. I don't know, guy. But actually, a big name. That's not true. I think there would be a guy that they would sign really low dollar value, but obviously a quick fit to this team. Actually,
I wouldn't be surprised if they
you guys,
signed Richard
you
Sherman
guys,
if we got that
you guys
announcement.
will get this off the trivia question, but the guy who threw a touchdown pass in the Super
Trey
Bowl.
Burton. Yeah, I mean, I was looking at him too. I was thinking we might get him.
I think that's a very yes, that makes so much sense on so many levels because you love him as a third tight end.
Question for you guys: could you see us trading Zach Ertz for a cornerback before the season?
That's where things get dicey.
Is
That's where I
Rodgers
think-
not on the team anymore?
Richard Rodgers, I think he's in free agency now.
It's a good question. I think he goes to free agency.
I think he's a free agent now.
So
I have no idea if we keep him or not, though. Like, I guess we still have the
if
option,
it's
right?
if it's a question of Trey Burton or Richard Rodgers, I'm taking Trey Burton all day. I'm sorry. I know
He
Rodgers
played
actually
pretty well last year.
Rodgers
Trey Burton.
actually did some good stuff for us in the short time he was here, in like the short passes that he caught. But sorry, I gotta go Trey Burton. I just like the guy. I think he's made for Philly.
Yeah, I mean, he was good in the Colts last year, right?
Trade prospects are just so hard. I think it's because tight end's not one of those things where it's like your tight end gets injured and it's like, oh, I gotta immediately go out and trade for that, like a quarterback or like a running back is. So that's where it's hard. I like it. I like if we did something like that. Like I would love for Zach Ertz to retire here. I just want to do right by him in some way, and I don't think that's, I don't know. As long as he's happy somewhere.
We're also at a point where tight ends in the league are actually really like well spread out with talented tight ends. I mean, you got guys like Mark Andrews down in Baltimore doing big things. What's his name?
Kelsey.
Connor Brait in Tampa Bay, not too bad.
Darren Waller last year was
Cameron
unreal.
Brate, Darren Waller. Kelsey,
I
of
mean,
course.
obviously Kelsey and George Kittle from San Fran.
Kittle,
I mean, Zach Ertz was right up there with them like 2 years ago. Those he was like a top 3 guy. And it's
so my question is how do we know he's still not? I'm not saying he's top 3 because I don't know if he's still that.
Do you think that his
how do we know he's really not
performance
top
last year
5?
was tied to Carson's terrible performance?
Yeah, 100%. He could easily still be a top 5 tight end. I think.
That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
I agree, Jackson.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's the only reason why I don't think he'll be here is because there's like I think he may not want to be here.
But yeah, there's that, and there's also the thing. I mean, we have Dallas Goedert, kind of in the pipeline. He's good. You've seen flashes of him. He's ready to bust out, do his thing.
Jackson, and I'll follow up.
I think it's 100% that he's not going to be here. Although I wish he would stay, because if you look on Instagram, Jalen Hurts is posting these stories playing with everybody on the offense, and you never see Zach Ertz there. You see Dallas Goedert there. You don't see Zach Ertz playing down there with him.
Yeah. Well,
it's a good thing to notice. I think if he were to play in any city, right, I think Zach Ertz would love to stay here if they paid him. But I think he wants to be recognized first and foremost. And then if it's a city that he plays in, Philly would be his first choice if, all the contractual stuff, works its way out. But
I just think there's no chance. I thought we can't afford him.
It's hard to justify a big paycheck to him. I mean, when you have Dallas Goedert who could fill his shoes.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, if we didn't have Dallas Goedert, then I feel like we'd almost be forced to pay him unless we were to like I said, go in trades for someone. But yeah, it sucks. It sucks. I was saying this earlier. Like I think he might end up getting cut after June.
And it just sucks on both sides, right? Because you wish you would have been able to trade him when his value was at its highest, where it could have easily been a 3rd round pick.
Yeah, it would have been a nice farewell.
And now it's a question of if it's a 5th, 6th, if any team really wants him at all. So it's even though I think he has a lot of value still left in the tank.
Once he's cut.
Yes, easily picked
100%.
up. It's hard to justify cutting him though.
Well, I think it's like if we cut him
unless if it's a money thing.
It's a money thing. We cut him after a certain time. It doesn't go against the cap or something like that. It's so weird how the money works in the NFL, but I think it just does not do Zach Ertz justice at all to the way he's about to go out.
I also think he definitely has trade value because there's only 5 or 6 good tight ends in the entire league. Like a lot of teams would like him.
I feel like we were just saying the opposite. Like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I think there's more to tight ends than that.
Well, they would
Zach
like him,
Ertz,
yes,
Zach
but they would
Ertz
not
is
like to
of an
give up
elite
everything
class,
for him.
of tight end. But
He
I think tight end
was.
talent is actually
The
very well
other
spread out in the league. Honestly,
the other teams are in the they got the advantage here because all they do is play the waiting game. He gets cut from the team. They get Zach Ertz for
He
nothing
goes
at
on
all.
waivers,
Just
right?
picking him up.
I think.
He would have to.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
I mean,
So
I feel like
um,
we're like biased towards Zach Ertz because like he was so good for us for so long, and like the last 2 years he's kind of declined, and other teams see that decline and they're just like, I'm just gonna wait for this guy to.
they really got away from his
yeah.
bread and butter last year, which was just like getting in between the second and third level of the defense and just catching a quick turnaround. Right after the first down
Yeah, he was a
marker.
catch and go down guy. He's not like a. He just makes the
And
catches.
that's all he is. He's not a yak
No,
guy.
he
I
doesn't.
mean,
He doesn't go anywhere after. Dude,
let's be honest.
I mean, I think.
That's fine though because he's like a first down guy. Like he always
Yeah,
seems
no,
to
he's
just
Yeah,
like
valuable.
he's all reliable for sure.
Zach Ertz catches the ball like he's like jumping into a pool. He's like not aiming to start running out.
Yeah, he just falls. Like he catches the ball, sees the guy, falls.
So we may not know the guy we do want, but do we know absolutely the position we need to fill? I think so. I think the answer, is probably the same for all of us, especially with, looking at the top 10 list of free agents that were signed and seeing, well, the Giants with Leonard Williams on the defense, but Kenny Galladay, a guy that I love as a receiver,
Yeah.
going to the Giants, and then obviously you have Curtis Samuel going to the football team. And all these other dynamic guys, receivers that the Giants have picked up in the draft, but also guys they already had in Sterling Shepard and Slayton. Really good twos to Galladay now. I don't think they were ever ones, but good twos and threes. And then obviously Dallas with their guys who are always just going to be making plays. Probably even more so than Cooper at this point. I think it's becoming a Gallup and CeeDee Lamb team. But a lot of guys to play against that could, really make a difference. That we need a corner. I don't know how we get that guy in free
We
agency
just
or if
don't
we
have
get
the
him through a
money
trade, but we
for.
just don't have him.
We just don't have the money for a good corner right now. There's a couple good ones available. We just can't get them.
So, our second to corner then, because I think we're all there as immediate need.
Second to
And
corner.
maybe what do we want the most? I mean, again, you can make an argument that linebackers are becoming a little bit more obsolete in this league. Not completely, not going that far where you can have a shit linebacking core and get by, but what do you want kind of second to the corner spot?
I mean, I feel like realistically, like there's nothing else that this team could get. So I feel like anything else that you would ask over that is kind of like reaching for the stars.
Yeah, it's like.
Like we would all love to have, I could start reeling off like all-star linebackers, but the team obviously that's not like a need more so than it's just kind of like a want.
Yeah.
Every team needs a star linebacker,
You think there's nothing else that's more of a need?
I think we need the cornerback. I think if we I think our wide receiver depth is actually pretty underrated. We're pretty good.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. And I think while I think linebacker is probably the most immediate need. Second to that.
It's like safety
Play.
corner
I'm
linebacker.
almost hearing like a 10-7 team out of that. Then I mean that sounds like a winning team if you only need a
because
corner.
these guys are still but our financial situation is so bad that there's no realistic.
Yeah, but if you have the players, who cares about your financial situation?
We can't afford them. Like that's we don't have the cap space.
So then we don't have the players.
I think he's saying we got young guys that are not proven yet.
Yeah, we have enough guys to fill an
so
entire
the spots are filled. They're just not quite there yet.
I think arguably the Eagles are in a rebuild and they don't necessarily want to spend so much money to win now. And so maybe they don't really want to spend to get like a big free agent and maybe increase our win total by like 1 or 2 wins. We want to get the best draft position we can here.
Yeah,
so
I mean, what's the difference between 5 and 7
Jason
wins?
McCourty off the Patriots, who's old but he's still good. He can still shore up that cornerback position, and then just kind of fly for the season, get the best draft pick we can get, see what happens with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I think like we just maybe use this year for like McPherson. and like just see if he's good enough, and then just kind of like go on from next year and like just go draft another cornerback if we need him. And when we got 3 first-round picks, hopefully
Yeah, I
hopefully
actually.
Jalen Hurts pans out, so we don't have to trade all of them for a quarterback.
So I think the question starts with what's your goal for this year, and I think because I know we were just talking about all right, we got to compete with all these receivers in our division, but I think for me the goal is this year figure out who your quarterback is. It's really is it Jalen Hurts or is it not? And so I
It's
think
definitely Jalen Hurts.
as far
I
as
think this season we're just trying to figure out
what
the
I
pieces.
what I mean is if he can be a franchise guy in the future.
Uh,
But with that said, I think it's not going out and getting people to win. I think it's going out and getting all the tools Jalen needs to be successful. And if for that final test of is he the quarterback or not, and then that gives you the answer you need for next year going into the draft.
Yeah, I mean the goal for this year is what Jackson was just saying. Like a free agent signing right now would be like a big one would be like pretty dumb because this is going to be a year that we see what these guys have, see what these young new players we just picked up in the draft can do, and if we evaluate that they're playable, then we use those draft picks next year. Otherwise, and same thing with Jalen Hurts, if he's
Right.
playable and he's good, then we use those 3 first-round picks for maybe the corner spots that we need, or safety, linebacker, stuff like that.
Exactly.
Depending on what our
Yeah.
draft pick is, obviously, but yeah.
Basically,
right. I think yeah.
trust the process, boys.
Yeah, it's not going to be a great year, but it's going to be a fun year because I think we have new guys that we're going to enjoy watching the players more so than the entire team this year. I think.
This will definitely be a season I'm cheering for players.
Yeah.
We're going to be like the Seahawks this year. We're going to have a terrible defense. Teams are going to be putting up a ton of points on us, and we're just going to be playing catch up and just balling out on offense all year. It's going to be crazy.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope we can ball out.
It sounds a lot like Dallas, which I don't like.
Jalen to
compare ourselves
Devontae
to Dallas,
bombs all day. I love it.
Hopefully Jalen can hit those bombs.
We said it last week. I think we're excited to see what the players can do, even more so than what the team's gonna end up being. So as long as they're dropping bombs on us, on those games, we can actually, as long as Jalen Hurts is going in the game and we can trust, like, hey, this guy can drive 90 yards, and I have a good feeling he can get us to score a touchdown. Versus Carson Wentz last year, where it was like, it's probably going to be a 3-and-out. I don't know. I'm not trusting this.
For the coaching staff too, the new coaching staff. It's going to be interesting to see.
There's a lot to learn.
So much new stuff to watch and just evaluate. Other than it's going to be fun for the podcast.
Well, actually, the schedule for 2021 drops on Wednesday.
I did see that. Yeah.
So that's going to be a breakdown in itself.
Schedule ever.
So we're living in history, boys.
Nope.
But like Flay said, do we trust the process? And before we trust us going into the next topic and talking some amazing Philly sports talking points, let's go to our next commercial break. Brought to you by. I said brought to you by Fish Fillets, a crunchy yet sweet, satisfying taste of Sixers love with an emphasis on Ben Simmons and just a touch of mayonnaise. Note, Fish Fillets have been discontinued due to how purely disgusting the aftertaste was on the first bite specifically. All right, boys.
I gotta add more mayo.
Add a little touch of mayo and maybe a little bit of life to that fish. Maybe a little bit of life that the Sixers have had.
The thing looks like you fried Grimace.
That's what it does look like. It looks like a SpongeBob character.
I don't make the rules. I just make the fish fillets. Okay.
You gotta have mayonnaise in your fish fillets.
You guys are demented.
That's what you get a taste of the show. You get a little taste of nonsense. So I can say with 100% certainty from my perspective that this is lockdown.
What's lockdown?
First seat and Piccolo jumping in for the guest spotlight.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I was showing him the fish fillets.
Gotcha.
Does he want to see the Belcos?
Oh yeah, bring up the Belgos.
That picture cracks me up.
It's a good one.
I would buy that. You should sell that.
I'm glad you guys sent me your headshots this week.
We could put it on a T-shirt.
Good. Sell it to our fans.
I'm really excited for this next topic.
All right. So we got 4 games left. I think they just need to win 2 to really lock it down. Because the Bucks could still technically come back. It's not looking very likely. There's probably like a 99.99% chance that we lock it down. But looks like we're number 1 seed going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, we're 100% going to be number 1 seed. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind unless I think the Nets have to win
Something out
out
there
and then
really
we have
go
to
wrong.
lose out. I think that's the only way.
Yeah, we can't win another game.
Wait, what? Oh yeah, if we win another game, it's done, right?
If we don't
Yeah,
win another
yeah,
game.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, we pretty much got a lockdown.
So
Which is
yeah,
what I'm very happy that this happened because it looked like we were second there that we were letting it slip away.
That was
Yeah.
just because Ben Simmons was out those games. We lost a couple, but then as soon as he came back, we just won every single one, basically.
Well, it was a little bit before that too. Just like it was like starting before that. Then he got hurt, and I was like, wow, now we're really not looking good. But then
I will say though, I don't know what to read of this team because I feel like we keep going up against teams that aren't healthy. Like every time we play a team, they're like, "Oh, our starters hurt," or like our best players being benched for this
yeah,
game. I don't get it.
and they haven't been very talented teams to begin with, except
And we
all
also
around.
haven't been trouncing those teams when their stars are out. Except
Exactly,
for
that's what-
the Pistons
Yeah.
last night, we won by a good margin. But like the game before that, we were struggling there against the Pelicans.
Even against
even
the
yeah.
Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that was kind of a tough road traveling kind of thing, going back and forth between West Coast and then back to Texas and back again. So I mean, yeah, I see what you mean though, Jackson. Like playing in Houston, they only had 8 guys on the team playing that night, so they they were probably dead after 2 minutes of that game. I mean, they won 20 points ahead of them, pretty much had that spacing the entire time. But
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'm not worried about that game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I feel like they haven't played any team really hit full form other than the Bucks, and they lost all 3 of those this year.
I do think that playing against a team that had full stars, like playing against one of the top tier teams, we would probably compete and we would win. I just want to see it more often. It's just sort of frustrating not being able to see them go against top tier teams because I think they would do well, and I just want to see it.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, we'll get to see it after next week.
yeah, I mean, we also play
Playoff
the Heat.
start, baby.
We also play the Heat one more time this year, so that'll be a good game.
Yeah, hopefully we can heat up a little bit against the Heat going into the playoffs.
2 games against Miami, right?
1 game.
2 games against 2 games against the Magic. I'm actually going to the game on Sunday.
Orlando. I don't know why I said Miami.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Be hot. Yeah.
So, yeah, and also another thing that's weird about this season is that they're doing kind of like that. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what they're calling it.
The play-in game.
play-in?
Yeah.
So I
8
guess
through
it's
10.
going to be 1 game for those teams to play to get
Yeah.
in.
Is
Win
that-
and you're in.
What happens is the 7 and the 8 seed. I think the 7 plays
7, 8, 9, 10.
The 8th plays the 10, or the opposite.
Yeah, 7,
And then
10,
play
8,
one
9.
game to see who gets in, and then the two teams that get in play to see who plays 7 and who plays 6 and who plays whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just 1 game.
Yeah.
It's
That's
7,
tough. That's 2 extra games to get into the playoffs.
The
No, I
team
thought
that
it was only
wins
1 game.
the game
One-
plays
one
the first
game.
seed.
And then, yeah, right. So it's basically giving 9 and 10 a chance to actually get in the playoffs. Kind of sucks for 7 and 8, who would normally be guaranteed.
Yeah,
and
that
then
does suck
if
for them.
you're
That's why LeBron was
you're-
pissed off.
if you're a top team,
look,
yeah,
the Lakers could get out.
I know.
they could.
But you got to think LeBron's going to win that game no matter what.
He's yeah.
You know?
He'll do whatever. He'll pull out all the
If the
stops.
Lakers
if he
get
has to.
out in the play-in game, the Sixers could be like for sure like the winners this year.
Yeah, that goes against the
But-
narrative.
Should we think that far ahead? Should we think that far ahead beyond the Nets or possible Bucks right now? That's kind of the question.
Nah,
we're
you
not
gotta
gonna
be focused
play
on the series at hand.
Yeah.
Still good news.
It's. I mean, yeah. You're not batting an eye at it. I mean, who else would you play on the West? Just because it's. I mean, the Golden
Yeah.
State's probably going to run far. Yeah, Clippers. Yeah, I think it's all about the East Coast at this point.
Well, no, I mean,
Nah, the West is killer, dude.
no, the West is good. West is good. I mean, the Warriors might not even make it.
Yeah, like the Jazz, the Nuggets.
Well, the Jazz are looking.
Clippers,
Jazz, Sun, Clips,
the
Nuggets. Yeah.
It's like I honestly be still scared of the Lakers more than any of those teams.
I just can't see the Lakers losing to the Spurs if that's the team that they end up facing.
Hopefully, they give them the same challenge that they were giving us the other night. Definitely not going to rest their stars for that game.
No.
But that's the
Cancel
thing with one game. Anything can happen in one game. I mean, you prove like in a series, like the better team is going to win. Like it's probably going to be no problem. Like if you're a
So
shit team, you're just
that
not gonna work
sounds
hard.
like that's kind of like the league's the league trying to make a solution against tanking too.
Almost
How
like
so?
So you can't kind of like slip yourself out of the playoffs.
yeah, but
to
at the
try to,
same
like-
time, if you're a 7th or 8th, are you like how? What's the percentage you're going to make it to the finals anyway, or even a late round?
It's more about if you're a bad team, like
Well, you're not a bad team,
incentivizing
though,
you
man.
to. If you're a team who's on the fringe and you would rather conserve your players, it kind of incentivizes you to play your star players.
So you're saying more so for like the 9 and 10 got seed than like the 7 and 8.
Yeah, because
Okay,
if
yeah.
you're actually trying to tank, you would not want to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
You would-
I feel you. Okay, I feel you.
They can
Makes
still
sense.
intentionally lose the playing game.
True.
They could.
But
They
then
could. Yeah.
it would also be blatantly obvious because they would just probably not play their guys. And that'd be weird to see in a do or die
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, where you have to like can make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, then
But
the
I
seeds
don't
would
think
already be.
anybody would do that though. So I think you're right. It probably would. I think it might fix tanking at that 7
Well,
or 9
no,
or 10 seed.
you
Yeah,
wouldn't
but
throw.
tanking. You're not going to be a 10th or a 9th seed. It's
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that
they just did that.
that for one, and then if you're a 10th or not, if you wouldn't throw the playing game because the seeds are already decided at that point. So like your probability of getting a high draft pick is already like
No,
that's
I
already
don't think
won.
that's how it works. Because if you win the playing game, you're now in the playoffs. Therefore, the team you beat is have a better pick than you.
The point is, this is not to prevent tanking. This is just a
I don't
fun
know.
thing.
I just don't think it'll make much of a difference. I think it's just
Okay.
a wild card type of deal.
It's a
like your
wild
team
flag
has more.
accusation.
Well,
It's a
I mean,
wild
the
flag.
Spurs are third. The Spurs are minus or less than 500, so it's not like they're a great team, and they're going to be in the play-in probably. So
Yeah, I mean they're probably at this point they'll probably be at the play.
it would be like the Washington football team making the playoffs last year at 7 and 9.
But
Well, another note. How about not Matisse Thybulle, my boy Thybulle? He's an absolute savage.
Dude, I mean that stat you sent the other day, with the defensive stats that he has, and especially in the minutes that he's playing, unreal.
man,
Yeah, he just really padded that stat last night with 5 extra steals.
Isn't he?
Yeah, only getting better.
just for fun,
Yeah.
for fun.
And including one after he fucking like got his fingers like broken. I feel like I don't know how his hand wasn't
Yeah, it
broken
looked
in the way
horrible,
he got
but it wasn't
stepped
that-
on. Yeah,
Wasn't that
he
bad
looked
apparently.
away, and then came back
So-
and steals it one-handed.
And not just the starters, guys. I mean, granted, it is the Pistons, but you got Maxey coming in with 22 points. Tobias standard 20. But you got Dwight, who's kind of like just throwing up these big numbers for Dwight every now and again, like 19
Yeah.
points coming off the bench. So like you love to see the bench kind of coming into their own towards the end of the season.
Go off bench.
Dude, the
I mean, it
fans-
really presents an issue for Doc picking his playoff rotation, because how do you cut this team down when there's so many guys who are so specific in their role and do so well when you use them for that role? How are you going to limit this bench to only like 9 or 8 guys for a playoff rotation?
Yeah, I think that is like one of the biggest questions that everybody's asking right
Yeah.
now. I think
Who is that?
We said it
I
before.
think it's easy to say who we don't see. You know, we're not going to see any Paul Reed. We're not going to see any Isaiah Joe. We're not going to see any Tyrese Maxey. We're not going to see any.
I was actually going to make
Mike
the argument to
Scott.
start Isaiah Joe over JoJo.
Yeah, good call.
Or Jojo.
No, but in all reality, all right, so we have our starting 5. I don't think that, I mean, that's definitely not changing at this point. Who's the remaining 4 in the lineup?
Dwight,
George
Burke.
Hill,
George Hill,
Tease.
Matisse, right?
What
I
about
think it has
Shake
to be
though?
Tease.
You think so? I feel like if we're only going to go with 9.
Well, it might be a 10. It might be a 10 team.
Yeah,
like
if
we
we're
were
only
talking
going to
about
go with
before.
9, it's between Shake and Cork. But I mean, you can make an argument that each of them, are needed for different things.
Yeah, I think Matisse has
Yeah.
solidified his spot. I don't know how you can go without having
Yeah, I
5
mean,
steals that turn into
obviously.
10, easy 10 points.
him and Dwight are just so necessary to keep the defense somewhat steady with the starters. When Joe rests.
Yeah.
I think we'll actually see a good improvement in their defensive production too. Dwight in particular, I feel like he kind of gets like statistically screwed because he's always playing with like the backups. But I feel like if he's in there with like Danny Green and Seth and Ben, and they're balling out, honestly, he's probably gonna actually have some improvement in the
probably true.
playoffs.
I mean, they're just going to balance each other really well. If Dwight takes it down and kicks it out to Danny Green, or just opens up,
I
takes
mean,
some space away,
How many
or
minutes do you
opens
guys
up some
think?
space.
I mean, I was just like when we signed both Dwight and Danny Green. I mean, they were both coming off of the Lakers championship, so I mean, they obviously
Yeah.
bring some type of
They're ready for that type of
they bring some type of pedigree. You
environment.
don't win championships for nothing. Your team definitely builds a culture in the seasons that we saw with the Birds.
How many
So they have to kind of bring that mindset to this team.
minutes do we think like Joel's gonna be playing in the playoffs this year?
That's what we're talking about, Dwight, and like he is gonna play it, but I think
Yeah.
Joel's gonna probably play like 42 minutes a game. Or
That's what
something.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think he's proven at this year especially that he's like
Well,
ready to go now.
He said last
Yeah.
night that he was definitely feeling it after playing in 5 games in the last 7 days.
Yeah, I mean, getting back to his 30-point per game average, easy. Yeah, I
He
think he's
puts
got to
up-
be ready for heavy minutes.
He puts
He
up
did
like
fall. He
over a
did
point a
fall
minute.
that one time. I felt got a little worried. He fell kind of and
Anytime he
landed
falls, it's scary.
Anytime, everybody holds their breath for a solid 30 seconds.
He's like a tower.
No, yeah.
Crumbling down.
You can kind of feel the aftershock.
Takes like
after
5
he
seconds
goes
for him
down.
to fall.
But no, I think he gets a lot of minutes. But I still love Dwight coming in as a second guy and just like giving him that
It's nice
break.
to have
and
the option.
just bringing in that energy too. Like if he's got to punch somebody out, take the technicals that he's going to get
Well,
inevitably anyway.
The thing is, when Dwight comes in, it's gonna really like close off the stretching of the offense that we normally have. So we're gonna have to just really clamp down on defense while he's in.
Yeah, you're gonna have to really
Yeah.
rely on people like Tobias.
Tobias is going to
Yeah.
be a huge if he can keep up with it, if he can keep up the points per game thing in the playoffs, dude, we're going to be hard to beat. Like really hard to beat.
Yeah, but I mean, with top 3 guys that are doing, that have high averages. I mean,
This is also where
who
you're
are
gonna
you guys
see.
worried the most that's going to change from season to playoffs?
You already know my question or answer.
I
at
already
this
know.
point,
I'm not
so.
even asking you. So,
What's the question again, Kabuki?
who are you most concerned with becoming a different player or person going from season to the playoffs?
Tobias.
In like a negative sense, yeah, I would say probably Tobias.
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean,
after
most likely
that,
in a negative sense.
someone
Yes,
like
in a
Danny Green also sucking would probably actually be like a low key,
Both of them
like awful
have
for our
just
team.
stinking in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, we all know Britt's answer, so it's not. I
Dude,
don't know
if he
if
can
it's even
go if he
necessary.
can go to the foul line more, we'll be happy.
I will agree with you, Brits. He scored 8 points the other night, and that's like definitely way too low for me. Even though he did have 10 assists,
Yeah.
I need Ben to at least be putting up like 12 to 16, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
I mean, you hope he's
Especially
he's-
because
Just
like
his average.
especially because he's so tall and anywhere within like 10 feet of the rim he can kind of throw up that like jump hook and get away with it.
just little
He
floaters.
should be able to score at will if he wants to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, he's
exactly.
proven that.
I don't want him to just be the shooter who shoots it when an opportunity comes up and like the spacing's there,
He
down.
doesn't really shoot at all, so.
Well, you know what I mean. Whether it's a hook shot or
Yeah, I
2
got
feet
you.
away from the baseline, but at the same token, like I just want him to make an opportunity, be like that Joel Embiid from time to time, where he gets the ball and then he just
Attacks the rim.
attacks, goes hard.
But no, I
And
mean we
that's-
already have
that's all I
Joel
need.
doing that, so I understand why he doesn't do it as much. I don't know. We just need to. I feel like people are gonna clamp down on defense on him a little bit more in the playoffs, and I think he just needs to like get in there and like get up to the foul line.
I just want to see aggressive move. I want to see him come out where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, they're up by like 10 points, and then he just gets like angry, gets the emotion,
Takes
pent
to
up,
the bucket.
and just throws it down hard and gets in people's faces, and
Yeah.
And that because that's when they go on runs. When it's like, all right, Ben's getting a
use
steal.
his size and strength.
Matisse is getting steals.
I
Yeah.
really think Ben's going to turn it up in the end of the playoffs. I think it just like us at this point. They're in the 1 seed. They're just playing teams that they should be beating. I feel like he might just be kind of like, just giving himself a little rest before the playoffs. If that
Oh
makes
yeah,
sense.
no, I'm not
It's like,
taking too much into account these last couple
No,
games.
I'm not worried about the
Yeah.
last four. Yeah.
I'm not like worried about those last like few numbers. I'm just I like I said, it's just his mentality. Like he just gotta turn up for the playoffs.
I think you're going to turn out loving Ben after these playoffs.
I hope so, man. Dude, I think if a
So,
legitimate shot
I think
to
we're all going
win
to
it all
be
this year, dude.
on
And
South Street,
I'm very
yeah,
excited.
or on Broad Street at the playoffs.
I'm very
so
excited.
tell me why
Ben.
this year's Broadsheet, the Ben, and the bullies, Broadsheet bullies coming back.
Well, shoot,
Tell me
boys
why this
suck.
year is different than previous years, and I'll tell you why I think it is for me. Like, I'm not scared of the Celtics. I'm not scared of like these lower tier teams coming in and like just possibly taking us out. Like every team should be scared of us at this point. And I think it's like a different culture with Doc coming to the
It
team.
feels like
I feel like I can't say that enough for what he's brought to the team.
Yeah, Caputi, you hit the nail on the head there. I think the thing we're going to see the most difference with this team in the playoffs is going to be Doc Rivers and just like the ability to adjust his game plan when needed throughout a 7-game series. That's the type of difference in coaching that really can take a team to the next level. And I feel like the Sixers were at the level where if Doc was here last year, we would have had equal chances with the players we had. So I think you'll really see the difference he makes.
Yeah, and I feel like the media was picking him apart for things he said this year, but he's kind of laughing at that stuff because it doesn't matter. Because
he seems to keep
at
it
the end of
real.
the year, we're at the first seed, and what he really needs to worry about playoffs is where we're at now.
He did what
You
he needed
can't
to do.
you can't listen to the Philadelphia media. They just generate hype off of ridiculous stories.
Wait, but we're the Philadelphia media now.
No, but
Need
we're the
somebody to
different
protect.
ones. We're the different
We
ones.
we talk about the media. We put the
like-
right stuff out into the world.
Yeah, we're like,
To be-
oh, listen,
It's a
don't
controversy.
listen to those guys. Come down here where it's safe and we talk real stories.
Ritz, that sounds a little creepy.
We have
Listen, it's
alternative
safe
Eagles
over
facts
here,
over
okay?
here.
It's safe in the pod.
It's safe, and you want to tell stories? Who do you want to tell the stories to, Britz? God.
All right, whatever. No, I mean, I think the biggest difference is for sure Doc. I mean, we haven't like seen that yet, but I feel like it's going to be. And then Joel like has just hit a whole new level this year, like a whole new
Yeah.
level that we haven't seen before, which is like so exciting. And then I just think the team's working better all around, and that's probably once again part of Doc. And it's just more fluent this year than it was in other years.
Well, Doc has to have something to do with it because the season ended, and then like a month and a half, 2 months passed by, and then they come back and they're like a whole new team.
Yeah, I
like,
know.
absolutely
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He can improve, but like improving that fast, Doc has to be playing a part.
He has a hand in it. And just, I mean, think like not that long ago, guys like Al Horford were shutting down Joel Embiid in the playoffs, or at least slowing him down. Nobody can stop this guy right now.
No one's stopping him this year.
Nobody's stopping him. I can't think of a name who could, other than Giannis slowing him down. But slowing him down still means like 20 points for Joel Embiid in a game. So
That's when you hope Ben Simmons comes alive.
Yep.
that's when he has to. I mean, the Bucks are the only. I don't know. I don't know if I'm scared of the Nets. I don't know if James Harden comes back. He said, I think today he might have said that, he should be ready even for the last couple games before the playoffs. But
I think he'll play. He's gonna play the playoffs.
he'll probably have to come back.
There's no way he just doesn't play.
I mean, if they make the playoffs, they're gonna be pushing for a championship.
Yeah. This is a championship.
Caliber
Like
team,
kind of They're like this is like they're gonna go for it all.
by far. No, I agree.
What else we got on the Sixers?
So let's go Sixers experts. Belkos and fish fillets.
I think that's about it for this week, right? I mean, Sixers are hype.
Yeah.
They're winning. They're going to get the first seed locked down probably the next game. The Eagles, we like the draft.
Mostly.
I'm, excited for the future.
Yeah. I agree. I think we pretty much hit the nail on the head on the Sixers talk.
Yeah. So let's just finish it up with our commercial closeout of
The
Oh,
Fritz
no.
cracker.
There we
Ritz
go.
crackers. So perfect alongside a nice hot bowl of soup when you're still
Oh, you
sick of
found me.
Chef Fish Fillets, love of Ben Simmons. But don't worry, throughout the course of this podcast, we seem to find Brits, and he's still with us. But I don't think anything's going to stop him from being sick of how much Flay and Jackson love Ben Simmons. But
Any relation to Bobby Flay?
None whatsoever.
Okay.
thanks for that confirmation. But we did find Brits, so that's good to know.
Wait, why is it a cereal
Um,
bowl?
It's not. It's now a soup bowl.
You don't eat your
Stuff
crackers with milk in the
Brits
morning?
is clearly a soup bowl.
It's a soup bowl, but it's called Brits crackers.
Yeah.
Why would you put the soup bowl in the box?
Because what's the one thing that goes with crackers, Brits?
A lot of things go with
Butter.
crackers. Butter,
What
cheese.
what did I ask you a couple weeks ago? What's the opposite of soup? What did you say?
What did I don't know what I said, but they were
You said pasta.
Pasta.
You said
yeah.
pasta. Guess what? Goes in soup 90% of the
Pasta's
time.
the opposite of
Pasta.
soup.
Yeah, because
Pasta
I was just
is
thinking
not
you're
the
the worst.
opposite of
No way.
soup.
I was
Okay,
thinking
okay. If you're thinking on it, don't dwell on it too deeply, guys. What's the answer for this? What's the opposite of soup?
I don't know. Like
Probably ice cream
fucking-
because it's both the solid and cold. Or soup
once
is a
you
liquid
hear what
Alright.
he's gonna
hot.
say,
At
you're
least
gonna
you
be
can
like,
argue
"Okay,
that."
makes sense. You said donut?
like a jelly donut.
Why jelly specifically?
I don't know. It's like
It's got to have a filling.
yeah, it's like the liquid's on the outside instead of all over it.
I mean, I would say salad, just super salad.
Do you in your mind is a soup a bunch of noodles with a bunch of soup around it? Is that how you?
Yeah, that's why it's clearly not pasta. At least pasta.
Well, I said pasta because it's basically soup without the broth. So that's why I was thinking.
Why would that be
like-
the opposite?
I
if it's
don't know, man. It's a weird
90%
question.
similar?
It's a
If
weird
it's
question.
pasta,
It
it's
is a
got the
weird question.
gravy, Brits.
It's a weird question. You just
I
what did
don't
you say?
know.
You said ice cream. How is that even like?
At least it's
explained
cold.
it. I explained
At least
Maybe
you
it
go from cold to hot.
perfectly logically. I think that was great.
Okay.
The
Whatever.
opposite of soup is a Philly
A
cheesesteak.
cold
Obviously.
solid is opposite of a
Clearly.
warm liquid, Brits, and that's facts.
All right. Well, in any state, whatever
There's no
the
liquid in
real
my
answer
There's
is.
no liquid in my pasta.
Not even marinara, dude. There has to be some kind of sauce. You
Oh my
goddamn
God.
fool.
Is a sauce a
Everything I
liquid?
say.
Yes. How is a sauce not a liquid?
Depends on how thick, dude.
If it's a fake though liquid, it's just like a solid state.
Do you consider maple syrup a liquid?
All right, but
It
we
is a
we
liquid.
do have one last topic to close on before we go away. If any of the audience members listened to our first fake pilot, which you didn't, we talked about Britt's going on trial for his Ben Simmons hate and a punishment that followed after he couldn't come up with a good enough argument to defend his case. So with that said, his punishment was tweeting at least 3 Ben Simmons love tweets. Could have been wishy-washy love tweets depending on how he's performed in the last couple of weeks. But he's performed okay, so I would have said they have to be love tweets, show some support for Ben. So let's check in on the status of his punishment if he's actually lived up to it.
Has he?
No, he has not. So these are
no.
the most recent tweets. It looked like
That is
somebody
the wrong
followed
Twitter
you.
account.
It looked like somebody followed you and then immediately unfollowed you.
That's
So
the
that is
wrong. That's the
that
wrong
is,
Twitter account because that's the
your
exact
latest Twitter
account
history.
that,
This is ridiculous.
Followed the pod Twitter like everyone else listening should.
So
True.
So let's just say you did not live up to your punishment. So I think we should assign something worse later on.
That's
Ridiculous.
We'll
Just
actually have to
ridiculous.
punish Brits in person and then
I-
post
Brits
video.
should
Punish
I
me
think
in
Brett-
person?
Yeah, what does that mean? That can mean so many
I
things.
don't like that.
We'll make them drink like a nasty liquid.
No.
We'll make them drink the opposite of soup.
No.
I'll
No,
drink
no,
the
no.
opposite of soup.
You drink,
Ice cream?
Ice
Drinking
cream.
salad?
Drink it.
You guys,
How is it
Josh
possible?
write an 8-line poem for Ben Simmons, a love poem, and perform it on next podcast.
Okay.
I'll do that, and it will
Line love
definitely
poem.
be not what you expect. But
And it has to be an iambic pentameter,
I have to be
Shakespeare
loved.
style.
We have to feel the love.
AABB C D C D
This should be
E
something.
E
This
F
should be
F
something we
G
do
H
after
G
the
H.
playoffs start. 'Cause
After
then,
they
'cause
start.
then I
Next
can
week.
get. All right,
No,
all right, all right, I'll do it next week.
we want a quick turnaround on this, and we want you to
Yeah.
live up to it this time.
All right.
You want to write this thing.
When the next pod is released, it will be playoff time. So
Yeah, we'll have
True.
a lot
That's
more
true.
to talk about then, and to get excited about. So, all right, let's wrap it up. This flight's coming to an end, and we've just landed. This is the Philly
Boom.
Escape Podcast.
See you later, guys. See you next week.
peace.
See you next time.